Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Plan the Apes retrospective. Bow your heads! I am the bowing my head, Travis Snell, and I'm joined by.
You've been waiting for that one, haven't you?
Oh, yeah, since 2001, baby.
I'm the damn dirty human, Kirkland Patzer.
I am the spaceman Taylor Field.
Damn dirty. That's a good one. Taylor, you should have picked something Michael Clark Duncan said, because me and Kirkland both have that. You should have.
But they dropped. They. I'm pretty sure he says. Oh no, it's not him. It's the other gorilla. That says
He's just a spaceman.
Yeah.
The reason I chose that, we're gonna get into this. This is gonna be a spicy good one. The reason I chose bowing my head as my nickname is when this was the first movie. Fuck it, we'll do plugs after because this is gonna get it. I'll go first. Get my overalls. This was the first movie I ever owned on DVD because I remember for a small amount of time. When it came out, it was only on DVD, and this was the movie that I convinced, like, I need parents a DVD player because I need to see Planet of the Apes. Because when I saw this as a kid, we've talked about before, I saw at my grandparents, they had that trilogy VHS of Star Wars, and then they had those Apes, where it was all the five together. So those were the things I just spam when I was at their place. So Apes was one, and I got to go see this with my grandma too. So that was good because she was a big Apes fan. So we went to go see it, and we'll talk about what I feel about today and everything. But I loved it. I was so hyped. It's definitely like Phantom Menace. Like it's an era of that 5 years. Like this is a movie I was overly hyped for. Could not believe it. And so eventually, my parents and stuff got me a DVD player, and I spammed. I watched all the special features so much, and then they had this thing where it was like 3 trailers and like 15 TV spots. Don't know why. I watched them all. Like this is what you do as a kid. You have nothing but time. And when the TV spots, let's say let's say it's 10 instead of 15, but all the TV spots started, it'd be like, a little logo, something, and then it'd be bow your heads, and it's Michael Clark Duncan yelling that out. And once I got to the 5 or 6 time, my dad, I remember he was in his computer chair and he turned around and he's like, "You're gonna have to stop. I can no longer hear bow." And he was dead ass like parent serious, like, I can't hear bow your heads over and over. But I was a kid, and it was in the trailers too. So, but I just kept, I guess, because as a kid, I was like, oh, I want to see all these different trailers and TV spots. And it was probably the young, inspiring filmmaker in me, but just my dad for an hour just hearing bow your heads, and I just watched all.
You're probably so jazzed like every time too. Like, yeah, bow your heads. Let's do it.
I waited till later and then I finished watching them. But it was a good time. But yeah, so when I watched the movie, I absolutely loved it because the hype. Got on DVD, watched it a bunch. Like Taylor's talked about, where you said, oh, there's certain movies as a kid you were on the internet, like just looking for any details of a sequel or whatnot. That it was like, to me, it was this, the Catwoman movie, and Batman Beyond were the 3 I was just spamming on the slow working internet of like any details, what's going on and stuff.
Catwoman, eh? Interesting.
Well, because there was supposed to be, originally they were making a Michelle Pfeiffer Catwoman after Batman Returns, but that turned into the Halle Berry one. But that's why I was all over it, trying to be like, oh man, Pfeiffer's coming back, and it didn't happen. Then we got what we got a couple of years, 3 years after this. So yeah, so I loved the movie back then, was a big fan, still a big fan. And then it's very much like the Star Wars prequels and other things in life where you grow up and then you just start to hear from everybody else that's not you of like how much this movie sucks, and you're like, oh man, like, have I been wrong this whole time? So I went back, I don't know when, watched it long time ago, and I think that was like, oh yeah, this sucks. So now I'm coming back 2 years later, where even Phantom Menace at one point I was like, oh, I'm done with the Star Wars prequels, but now I'm like, oh well, there's Ewan and there's Qui-Gon Jinn, and there's some good battles here and good stuff here in the score. So it's like, okay, I'm not that kind of pretentious, like I'm not gonna watch this stuff anymore. It's like, if there's something good in here, I'll watch. So this is the first time watching it, kind of that aspect, and I'll probably sound more like Tay in this episode. I don't hate this movie. I still enjoy it. Is it a good movie? I can't answer you that. I don't know. And maybe as we talk about it more throughout here, I can answer you if it's a good movie or a passable movie. Maybe I can't say good movie. I think it's a really interesting movie. I think it's fascinating what they choose to adapt from the original and what they don't choose to adapt. I think Tim Burton's a wild choice because you don't really see much of the Tim Burton isms in here. There's a few things, but it doesn't really feel like he directed this, in my opinion. And there's I have trivia, nothing to do with, like, he definitely directed this. I think he just had a lot to do with studio changes and whatnot. But The score really, really good. Like Elfman, like that opening credits of showing the armor and Elfman coming in, like
I
he
did
was
not
on.
realize it was actually him until my
Oh
viewing
yeah,
today.
he was on
Or
fire in
listening.
the early 2000s. This the year after Spider-Man. Like, come on now. So I love that. I like. Like I said, I like that's not just a carbon copy. A couple years earlier, they did Psycho, and it was just a shot-for-shot thing. So I like that it is okay. We're gonna do a remake, but a little bit something different, a reimagining. The makeup is fucking on point. Now, granted, it's great because we did Gollum, we got circus and CGI, so that's work. But like, I don't know why there's still like a part of me that like prefers this a little bit. You know, like I love seeing these. Like I think this is fantastic makeup all around. If you're making like a human monkey hybrid, I don't know when we do the rankings where he will be, but like Tim Roth of Thad as General Thad, right? Or Thade,
Fade.
General Thade. He might be the number one villain. Like maybe not next
That
to
look.
oh man, yeah, not next to what's his who's the guy in the first one? Who's the orangutan? Because he's really great.
Oh fuck.
Yeah, we'll get to him when we come back to.
I don't know why
can't
Obadiah
remember.
Stane
Yeah.
just came to my mind. I'm like, that's not him. No, not him.
Caesar. But yeah, Tim Roth to me is very much just like how Danny Elfman did the score for this movie. He's given off very Defoe 2002 Spider-Man, where he's going for it. So I got Roth. The makeup's fantastic. The set design, the costumes all look great. The score is great. I think there's some aspects I like the reimagining. Then there's stuff like there's too many characters in here. When we talked about how in the first Planet of the Apes movie, where first half is just walking and characters looking at stuff, it works because you got Charlton Heston, who's just a charismatic motherfucker. I think Mark Wahlberg can be very charismatic, but this is not the role, and I think there's definitely could have been better. Dr. Zayas, right? Yeah, so he might be number one. I have to think about it, but this is just not the role for Mark Wahlberg. I hate this. This happened a lot in the early 2000s. There's two love triangles in this movie. Why I don't know. Like that stuff you could cut out. So don't get me wrong. There is some bad stuff in here. There's some head scratching stuff. There is some C-rate straight to DVD quality stuff, but overall, I think I still like it. I think it gets worse as the movie goes along. I'll say that. I think it has a strong opening, even though Mark Wahlberg makes some very dumb choices in the first act. But I think it has a strong opening and setup, and then it slowly diminishes. But there's some cool stuff here, and I know we'll save it till the very end. But the ending, as a kid, one of the most hyped things ever. Now, does it make sense? No, because I also learned something today about this entire movie for the first time that I still know after this watch, which I was fascinated about, but I'll wait till after. So I'm in the camp that I'm sorry. I think this is a guilty pleasure for me. I think I enjoyed it, and I think it won't be long. Like I'm not going to be watching this maybe next year, but I will return to it a lot quicker than I did the last time. So I enjoyed it. Mr. Patzer, where are you with this one? One, obviously, when did you see it? As a wee lad, or is this your first time? And then what do you think about now on 2023 on our what the fuck is it? Lead up to Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.
We're getting close. Sorry, you said that this was your first DVD that you owned, like when you got a DVD player. Yeah, it's funny. My first DVD was X2, which 2003, very similar era of films. It was X2 and then Finding Nemo.
Bo Fox.
Yeah, no.
Well, not Nemo,
Finding Nemo.
I meant Apes and X.
Yeah,
that's what I meant. Yeah,
100%. It's funny. But yeah.
Oh wait, do you remember the DVD menu for Finding Nemo?
Yeah, it was great when they had
bow your heads.
Bow your head, Nemo. It's the sharks. Bow your head. No, it was just like the play scene selections, but it was just like water, and it was like movie
that was
like water sound effects. My auntie would just put on all time. We would just like fall asleep to that shit. Was fucking crack, man. That was good.
It was great because like then like those were like the two DVDs that we had, so we were probably just spamming them constantly. So when you're done or you fall asleep watching it, it just goes to that menu, and then it'd be like.
X-Men's is pretty
what's
loud
his name?
though.
Nemo. What's the dad clownfish called? Marvin? That sounds right.
Marlin. It's Marlin. Yeah. Oh right. Every once in a while, swim out.
Yeah, they say something or whatever.
Yeah.
Bow your head.
No, stuff
funny.
like that. I think that's why that as I always shout them out, Ambience World on YouTube, when they just take like movies and they take like the show and like that was probably the start of it right there. But yeah,
Yeah.
X2 menu, you don't want to be falling asleep to. The X-Men menus were always fucking loud. So
Yeah.
and then oh my god, the Daredevil one. I gotta pull. Have you ever seen the Daredevil menu?
I don't think so.
Fuck, it's like nice and quiet, and then it's like because it will be like Matt Murdock like seeing through his vision, and it's like. I just remember, I think my dad was also not happy about me falling asleep to that one too. But back to Mr. Pazer's thoughts.
Yes, thanks for the delay. So for Planet of the Apes, because all these movies were out already, like when
Yes.
like the first time I saw Planet of the Apes was definitely, I would imagine, after 2001. So I kind of
Like
just
this one or the original?
like any of them, like way back in
Okay.
the day when my first experience watching Planet of the Apes, it would have been probably after 2001 because I would have been like 5 years old when this came out. So I would imagine I was jumping into those movies when I was older than 5 years old. But who knows? I do remember though this being in the mix whenever I'd watch them. I don't remember like the order that I used to do the movies. Obviously, going through the retro with you guys, there's a lot of maybe scenes that I've either really remember or really don't remember. So that makes me think that I rewatched a lot. I rewatched more movies in this series than others for sure. And this was one of the ones that I definitely rewatched quite a bit because going into this, the only scene that I remembered was the very last scene because I felt like the first time I saw it, it just blew my mind. And that also makes me think that maybe I saw like this one before like the original
Oh,
Planet of the Apes
fuck.
because
That's-
whenever I think of like a
that's
Planet of the
tough.
Apes like jaw drop moment, it's like I would always just think of this one when he finally escapes and then gets back. He thinks he's on Earth, and then it's just like a holy shit moment. It's like very just ominous ending too, because you don't see like anything that follows up with it. It's just the cops have him, and he's just fucked. There's like
Oh,
he's
yeah.
so fucked in that
That's
moment.
it.
Rolls to
It's lucky they
credits.
didn't
No
assassinate
sequel.
him.
No
Yeah.
happy ending. No conclusion. No follow up on Captain Leo. But yeah. So that being said, like although I only remembered that one scene as I was watching it and it was going along, there was a lot more stuff that I was remembering. I
Like,
feel
there's
like
more to this movie.
I feel like a lot of the main like plot points I didn't really remember, but the characters for sure, and just specific moments with certain characters, and I feel like that just goes to show like how memorable some of these characters are, especially someone like General Thade. Like I remember being terrified of that
Yeah,
character watching this as a kid. Just again, like shouts out to Tim Roth with his like just the body language that he would have with his character. He looks so menacing and scary, and like you mentioned just the practical effects and the way that the apes look, and I was terrified of them as a kid, and now that I'm older, it's still scary, but I'm able to just like appreciate it so much more.
Yeah.
Especially just comparing it to even modern movies. Like I feel like just the quality of the costumes that the apes were wearing. Like General Thade's armor was so fucking
my
sweet,
God,
and the
yeah.
detail of it was beautiful.
Like this is the era of that and Lord of the Rings. It's like I know we have such
Yeah.
great CGI, and I get why they don't do it for time and whatnot. But it's like even if they're actors under makeup, it's like there's part of me that still prefers it a bit, right? Because there's never a moment where it's like, oh, Caesar doesn't look like he's right there. Like it's
Yeah.
never like oh, his saturation's off of that tree. It's like no, it's a guy in a fucking ape costume, and he's right there. Same thing with the hobbits versus orcs. Like I know you've never seen the hobbits, but it's the same thing, right? Where the orcs and the hobbits stand out. They look like fake things because they are fake things. But in Lord of the Rings, they're fucking, you can touch them and whatnot. And sure, they might every once in a while look like, okay, this is clearly a mask, but who cares, you know? But
No, exactly, and it's funny because this is also very well. It's like hand in hand with the time of the Lord of the Rings movies coming out, and the gorillas just totally remind me of like the Uruk-hai.
same
just,
here.
Just like the big, pardon me, the armor and just their faces. Like they're very like bulky heads, very Uruk-hai like. But so all that looks great. I also watching this for the first time. I just paying attention more to the credits than I would have as a kid, and I saw that it was Rick Baker that did all of like the special makeup and costume design. That's the same. Like he's done so many like iconic monster flicks like The Wolfman, and I the only reason why I really know too much about his work is I listened to a podcast that he was on one time, and it's just man, he's got quite the track history. So I feel like any time that I like see his name on there, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be looking good, and yeah, that this one was looking beautiful. For the movie itself, I feel like I just don't have like although I do remember watching it a lot as a kid, I still don't have like a lot of nostalgia for it because I think this movie scared me more than I enjoyed it as a kid. If that makes any sense, I feel like maybe the older
DVD
ones.
menu for Kirkland.
Probably because they were just older, like the classic ones. They weren't as scary for me, even though they still tackle scarier concepts. Like this is a very dark movie, and the apes are very scary at times, especially someone like General Thade. And it's just an overall like darker movie. It just seems like it's almost like Chronicle of Riddick level of darkness. It seems at certain times, which probably came out around this time too, the early 2000 era. But yeah, I don't like dislike this movie, but I also don't love it. Like it definitely is gonna fall into kind of that good enough category. It is very interesting though, like going through the first 5 movies that we just did that came out between 68 and 73 to this 2001 jump, and just over like the difference on how they feel and just what they're really trying to tell. And of course this one is very distant from, I would imagine, like the original team that made it, just because it was like 30 years later. So it is just really interesting to compare the two. But yeah, no,
really not the same at all. Like
No.
the first 5 are definitely dealing with. There's minor aspects of race in this movie, but this movie is the action adventure Planet of the Apes, where the first 5 are the like, what if we take, what happened with black people in America and flip it and use that as an allegory, and other races too, but that was specifically the biggest one, right? Especially in McDonald's character, even like would just say that outright, talking about slavery, right? Where this is, there's aspects, but they just use this as a gateway for Mark Wahlberg to run through the forest,
Absolutely. I was looking up when Triple X came out, Vin Diesel, 2002, and I like just because of these like early 2000s vibe of movies, like it just seems like they're very like sex oriented too, with, like tight spandex that maybe characters are wearing in something like X2 that Lord of the Rings doesn't really have that. I guess that's the exception, but like Chronicles of Riddick definitely has that as well. And man, in this one, I feel like they like just like the sex meter is just cranked right up compared to those earlier ones. It just seems like everyone just wants to fuck in this movie, whether it's ape on man or whatever it might be. Like
I don't know. They should have took all. That's for sure. They're on the Morbius method. They should have. Yeah, that was none of that was needed in this film. But there's a lot of it. There's tons of it.
100%. So yeah, I think that's my overall thoughts are. I'm really glad that we went through this, and just this overall Apes retro. We're like halfway through. It's been a fun time, just again comparing the two and going through a little history of Apes. But I am so excited for trivia when you're talking about it, and just while I was watching it, I'm like, man, I can't wait to find out kind of the ins and outs of the making of this film, and just certain decisions on I guess decisions that they make for certain characters or whatnot.
I think the stat was it might be in trivia if not, but like. They were working on a remake since like 1988. Like that, it had been.
Oh wow!
I have a list of all the directors at one point that were attached. This was a development hell for almost 2 decades. Like it was, which I get because Planet of the Apes is a big deal. But yeah, there's quite a story, and I included a lot. But there's still like I would recommend people if you get a chance, go to the Wikipedia page and just look at the production and just the beforehand. It's wild how they got here. But Mr. Field.
So my first DVD was Bionicle 3 Web of Shadows, 2005. Never going to forget it.
2002? Or when did that come out? 2001?
2005.
Okay, pretty close.
I remember DVD players were still fairly new. I mean, I guess they were out, I mean, obviously since 2002, if you guys got Apes and stuff around that time.
Well, yeah, the way, especially just because it came out in 2001. Like, think about the way movies came out at that point, right? Like, it was a lot longer. Like, and for some reason, I feel like Planet of the Apes. Let me check at the release date. I'm guessing it was probably like a summer movie, right? I felt like I got, fuck, just give me a date, something. Holy fuck, man.
July 27th.
Okay, so I feel like this came out either December or January or something. Like, it felt like because you're saying DVDs didn't come out until 2002. Taylor?
Well, no, I'm just I think DVD players probably came out around that time. Let's see.
Yeah, I just remember this being around Christmas, and because I think they were a bundled pack. So if you look at that, the way movies were, that was July. That even seems too early for me. Like that's July. August, September, October, November, December, 6 months. Like that feels early for that, but
So
maybe not.
DVD players started being available in like 1996, and in 1999 they were like $1,000. Can you fucking believe
Yeah.
that?
Crazy,
eh?
eh?
I remember it was a big deal. That was the Christmas present I got. It was like a DVD player and Planet the Apes, and maybe
Yeah.
like a game from somebody.
But yeah, this movie holds a special place in my heart, and I was just this out of all the Planet of the Apes films, this is the one I was really looking forward to getting to. I'm not gonna lie, it's just got such craziness to it. This is the one that I remember before the old OG ones. Watching this one with my dad, and I just remember being absolutely terrified. Thade is a fucking scary villain when he goes like roars at you unexpectedly. He's like sniffing your head and all that kind of stuff. And that's something that's kind of like
a sword in there.
it's kind of something that I've kind of adopted into like my real life
what?
as well.
Jesus, what does that even mean?
New
What does
people
that
he
even?
meets, he just grabs them by the mouth. Is there a soul in there?
I'm never going to dinner with you ever again. The poor waiter's like, oh, there's no way you cannot expect us to ask questions when you say you've seen things about Thade and you've adopted that into your real life. Like, what the fuck does that even mean?
In my personal life, so with Madison,
It's still-
sometimes like what Thade does, like I'll just like lean in and just like.
Oh,
And I like
TMI Taylor.
and I like
this is it
I
for
like
us. It's over.
I like doing that with my kid too, because she just gets so like freaking out.
Madison wakes up in the middle of the night. Taylor just has his child by the mouth. Is there a soul in there?
I'm not doing that. That's fine. just the whole like
You're
animalistic.
not just
like,
my wife. You're my friend.
Just leaping down the stairs.
I do.
But
I
yeah.
like Taylor as a child, and I still as a kid. I used the Planet of the Apes run from this movie specifically to chase the kids around. But I feel like that's a little more normal than going around sniffing people. But I
Well,
guess.
I'm not going around sniffing people. Only
You're
only
sniffing
people
at
that
two,
are,
you're sniffing
only they're
two
close
people,
to me.
Lee.
Close to me, people. Yeah.
Thank
It's a
God
great
we
honor.
don't-
If I sniff one of you guys, it's a great honor.
Thank God we don't
Shit.
cast in person anymore.
You just poop. You smell like shit.
Just mid cast.
But yeah, just everything with Thade and just all the other apes, the way they move, like it just blows my mind how these actors were really getting into that kind of groove of just being an ape. Because obviously there's certain pieces of equipment that are helping them move around and do some of these fucking super crazy jumps. But
Have
some
you
of
watched
other
the special
things-
features?
I haven't watched special features. No.
Well, they have
So-
wires, but also when they run, they do that. But it was fields of treadmills, so it would make them
okay.
Oh,
look
wow.
faster. Yeah, so it was like
That's
all
clever.
practical. Yeah, so
So the just
No
the way
treadmill
that
for me.
they're jumping around and like Thade will just like jump up onto his horse and they just seamlessly pull off a very well in between that ape and that human kind of balance of just the way their movements are. I really appreciate how they landed that because it totally works for me. But all in all, I like that it's different from the originals. I like that it tried to create its own spin, its own story, and that ending is just like a WTF. And is there any proper explanation for it? I don't know. My dad always told me that the way the storm works, like if you
after
go
he
in,
sniffed you,
yeah, you go in first, then you're gonna come out in the future, and then if you go in after, you're gonna come out in the past. Just some weird thing like that. But even that, it's such a convoluted thing, which I'm excited to discuss with you guys. But yeah, it's just this movie just holds a special place in my heart.
hang on, give me that again. So if you're first, you're
My
going
dad
to the
said that if you
future.
go in first, you're going into the past, and then if you're going in after, you're going into the future. I think is what he said.
okay,
No, wait, because if you're going,
kind of tracks, but
if you look at Pericles, he went in first, and he came out into the future.
a couple days later, yeah.
And then a couple days
but
later,
not that
and then,
far into the future.
No, not that far. And then if you go in
Yeah.
after, like Mark Wahlberg did, you come out in the past. So he came in before Pericles landed. And if you look at it at the end with Thade, he went in after and he came in before Mark landed. But again, it doesn't make sense because that's like ages and ages of a
Yeah,
difference,
Thade
right?
landed.
So-
Thade landed like hundreds of years.
Yeah, it just gets very convoluted.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's maybe we'll talk about the ending now. But just because I had a question, I did not know till I was preparing trivia, and I must have missed it this time. I did not know that this is not Earth. I've thought
Oh,
forever
you didn't know?
No,
Oh
no,
shit.
not at all. I've missed it every time.
I didn't know
Did
that
you know
either, actually.
Yeah,
Really?
it's a different planet. It's some planet called Earthax or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's a planet that's just like Earth that's taken over. So I always thought this is why, because in the trivia I was reading, and almost every actor got asked about the ending, and half of them were like, "Oh, I guess it kind of makes sense," and there's people like Tim Roth like, "This makes no fucking sense. I don't know why they have it in there," but like, anyways, so. I always understood it because I was like, okay, clearly what happened was, in my mind, they beat Thade, everything, and we're going to get there. That Mark Wahlberg goes back to Earth, but in this time he fucked up, and maybe Thade got out, and then he still took over. So by the time Mark Wahlberg got back, it's like, oh shit, they still won. I should have stayed and helped them out. But no, it is like what Taylor said, I was looking on Reddit, and that's like the online theory that comes up the most is Mark Wahlberg left on a ship, and then I guess right behind him, Thade got in another ship and followed him, which I do not believe that Thade is just going to jump in this ship after we just saw him fucking cowering in a corner because like a gun.
What ship
like,
did he get in?
There's like another ship, another pod. I can't remember.
There's speculation that the pod that Mark Wahlberg crashed in, that Thade would have hauled that out, or maybe the humans, because again, all these humans are technically descendants of the space crew, the Auburn crew, right? So then the theory goes that maybe they were working on some of the tech and trying to get things going, and they just captured the ship and just flew off. Or maybe there was a pod still functional in the Auburn because all the technology was still functioning there, right?
I'd go with that one out of all of them. I feel like the fact that his broken down ship was at the bottom of the ocean or whatever the hell it was.
Thade's going to pull it out himself, just strong arm. And I just thought they played on the origin a little bit different, that maybe they went back to like the caveman type of era with those monkeys. The monkey killed the astronauts, and then they were the species, and that's obviously not what happened. So yeah, I guess Kirkland and I both didn't know. And I bet there's tons of people.
Yeah.
So, and that's like a change to me that I don't like as much, which is fine because I just always said, oh, it's it's Earth, which I guess I don't know. It's same thing with the humans talking. They try to have God, what's her name? Helm Carter's character.
It's like Dana, I think.
No, I know New Nova. Yeah, she has more makeup on than the original Nova. My God, but no, who's the ape or female ape protagonist? Ari. So there's this portion in the middle where she's trying to convince people that humans are smart, and like, oh no, that wouldn't be the case. But the problem in this movie is like a lot of the humans are just like the apes. They're talking, they have clear thought. So it's just it's weird that they didn't do the talking thing, but then like the non-talking thing, but still wanted to pose it as, oh, these humans are fucking completely dumb. So it was odd for me, and that's a change that didn't track for me. I'm fine if you want to make them talk, but then just don't do a couple storylines of, oh, they are smarter if you pay attention. It's like, well, yeah, no shit. You have full communication with these humans. So
and like, do they have a soul? It's like, well, fuck. What's the difference between them and you? These humans seem entirely normal, and they don't have like some weird Neanderthal isms to them where they're just like really brutish and like cave people where they're very, I don't know, like they're huddled up in little like groups. Like they just seem like they would be regular people with like if they just gave them the land and the materials, they would just build up their own little thing. So that was kind of a stretch for me, and I mean I just kind of looked past it as the movie went on, but. Wasn't expecting that. I was expecting more of like the original Apes movies that had humans, where like they are more of that early.
And they should, because like none of these human actors other than Mark Wahlberg to me are like, they're not that good. Like I know you got the one guy from The Mummy, so it's nice to see him again. But just like,
which guy is that?
He's the bald guy. Remember, he's in the first Mummy. He works at the library at Evie.
Oh, yeah. And you got Blade's father, too, right? For the Blade movies.
Whistler, not his father,
Whistler,
just his trainer. Yeah.
But he calls him father, doesn't he?
But I can't remember if he does, but fine. He is one of the more notable actors, but he dies in the first act.
He does.
Which he just decides to get some fire and take on like 50 apes, and just Michael Clark Duncan, which that ape is a tank. He kills a lot of people. I remember being scared that I had a toy of him. I had a toy of Thade, Mark Wahlberg, him, the samurai one, the guy who was like Michael Clark Duncan's friend that he fucks up in the battle, and then I just had like a random red.
I think his name.
Qatar.
Atar, I think his name is Atar.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, and then I just had the one random red guard, but yeah, I had a couple of toys and stuff. But yeah, the Michael Clark Duncan character, scary fucking like. I want him to go up against the general in the 5th one that we just had, Nobu.
Yeah.
Or what was it, Koba or what, no, not Koba. He's coming up. Aldo.
Oh,
Give me Aldo.
Aldo.
Michael Clark
Aldo
Duncan.
doesn't stand a chance.
No, I'm a general, please. I'm a general.
We need guns. Guns mean
Yeah.
power. Fucking Aldo. Yeah, I feel like part of me, because of the ending and how it looks just like a human society, but with like the ape spin on it, I always just assumed that it was Earth. And then in this viewing, I just kind of was pulling from that same. I don't know. I just thought it was a retelling of like those original movies, so I kind of just went with that. And in my like again, something that was surprising to me on this viewing was I was expecting to see actually like old Earth artifacts in this. I thought that was something that was brought over from those originals into the remake, but no, I was surprised by it. It was just the ship that crashed.
Well, but what about the gun?
Kalima.
Where'd we get the gun from? From Thade's dad.
Well, that was in the Auburn, right? Because the Auburn crash landed.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So that was from
In
them.
the egg.
Okay. So that was years later. So that's why they had it. Did you guys know? Did you know who was playing Thade's father?
No, who was it?
Taylor, did you know?
I have no fucking clue.
Back again, you see? They can't make a plan the apes without me. It's
No
Charlton
way.
Heston. Oh,
No
yeah, it's
way.
Charlton Heston.
Really?
That's why, of course, they make him say the fucking down them all that, which I hated. I hated how.
Okay, that's funny.
Yeah.
I recognized the line in the moment, but I didn't think it was
Yeah.
him.
I liked the damn dirty human line because it's like, oh, that's a fun play on it.
Yeah.
With Charlton Heston again doing damn them all. I'm like, okay, this is a bit much, but I might be wrong. It's either one of or it is his last role. It's very close near the end. It's very funny.
That's why he
'cause
looks
Tim
so
Roth-
massive in the bed. I was like, why is this guy so big?
It's the biggest ape they have, bigger than Michael Clark Duncan. But yeah, I did like that they had him back, and that's kind of fun. There's some fun urban lore you can look into that Tim Roth did not want to do the scene with him because they have big disagreements on gun policies, but Tim Byrne had to talk him down, just say like it's just for the movie, just put it aside and stuff. But he said if
Put
he
a
knew-
gun in your hands.
It had a lot to do with some of that because Tim Roth's very anti-gun, and Charlton Heston was a very big NRA supporter. And Tim Roth literally said if he knew he was going to have to do a scene with Charlton Heston, he would not have accepted the movie. You know?
Wow.
So, and if that would happen, we would have not got Alan Rickman because he turned down Snape to go do Planet of the Apes, which is kind of crazy.
That's very
So,
crazy.
There's a chance that
Is
if
Tim
he
Roth
gets,
British? I feel like I never
Yeah.
knew that. Okay.
he's like limey British, I think. But
Okay.
yeah, so Charlton Heston in there making a great cameo. You know, it's this high father ape, but yeah, there he was.
So his lineage, Thade and his father, now they're told that they're direct descendants of Semos, and
Yeah.
I'm assuming Semos is this child of Pericles because they allude to that Pericles was going to be a father because
Right,
the maid
yep.
was pregnant, and I'm pretty sure that was the baby was supposed to be Semos. So Pericles is like an ancestor of Thade, right?
Technically, I guess yes. If you want to break that down.
Because it's just like the only confirmation we really get from that is what's said by like the apes themselves. So it's you're kind of just taking their word for it. But
Yeah,
I guess I could
it's
run
like
with that.
it's like with the first one, right, where they said Caesar about all this stuff, but then when they look into it, it's like, well, this was a lie, and this
Yeah.
was a lie, and even Michael Clark Duncan. What is Michael Clark Duncan's ape name? I can't remember what it is. I'm just gonna call him the General because that's what he is.
Well, it
but
says
like,
Attar on the cast, but that's,
Well,
what Taylor
I
said
thought
the
that
other
was
one
the
was.
other guy. The other guy, yeah. Or
Oh,
maybe
so-
I'm getting the confused. Let's
yeah,
see.
but like even at the end, he's just like, you and your entire family lied to us, right? So it's just like, who
Yeah.
knows what else they're lying about? But yeah, I guess
he
that.
is Attar.
So yeah, so we're saying they crash on a planet that just has nothing. I'm guessing, right? Like,
Mhm.
because was there? Do we even? There's horses, I guess. So there's just animals, I guess, right? There's no people. Well, there is
that's-
people,
That Earth, everything that makes Earth Earth is this, but it's also not Earth.
but there is people. Because you were saying that these humans were descendants of the Starship people, but I don't think so.
They are, yeah. There are descendants of the crew.
How? Because like the crew got fucking mutilated.
I would say all of them did. No, we didn't get that confirmed.
Those videos were pretty convincing. I don't know. I just so this is what happens. Planet with vegetation, other animals, this starship lands because Mark Wahlberg's a fucking idiot. Let's just like we'll get back to the beginning of how we get to this situation, but still, when he's like, "Oh, I got them all killed." It's like, yeah, man, and for a dumb reason too, just because he wants to fucking fly in space. Like literally, the monkey just went out. His ship went missing, and he's like. It's weird because he's like, I'm gonna get my monkey, but then there's other times where he's like, why are you letting a monkey do a fucking man's job? Does he like the monkey? Does he not like the monkey? I really don't know. But either way, he does fuck all these people. The ship lands. I took it that I guess I haven't really thought about because I thought it was Earth, so I thought it was these monkeys land, they take over. But now, if it's not that, if it's this other planet, they land. And you're saying that like the apes kill some of them, but some of the humans get away, and then some of the apes get away, and then the apes start to learn to talk, and they build a whole society and everything.
Well, I took it as that some of the like humans were working with the apes. The apes were proving intelligent and doing their own thing, and then Simos kind of organized things, and they kind of rebelled against the humans. They rebelled against the ones that like obviously were fortified in that ship, that science lady and the other guy, and that other guy who was the captain in the video, he looks much older, so we know they've been there for a long time. We know that they probably would have started having kids and just doing their own thing, and some of the humans could have left and made their own colony. It sounds like villages are all over the planet, so I took it as okay, they've colonized the planet. At the same time, the apes have kind of been colonizing the planet and whatnot. So people have even speculated, like, if this is an alien planet, where'd the horses come from? But there's no designated section of that spaceship in the Auburn that's saying this is only monkeys. So people are speculating that, okay, this spaceship had other animals that were up there too, like horses and everything. So
Why? Why are they bringing horses to space?
I don't know, just experiments.
Space horses.
They're like, well, if the monkeys can't fly yet, we're gonna try the horses next, see if they can do it.
It's just like they have an arc, essentially. They have Noah's Ark.
Yeah, I guess it's very convoluted, and that's the stuff I don't like as far as everything, the past, the future, the present day and stuff. But I said, I don't mind the. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, why not just make it Earth? Like what story reason is making this Earth like worsening the story? I feel like you could have the exact same
I think
story.
it's the same.
with
Because
Earth.
for years I thought it was the same, and it worked for me.
Yeah,
It worked
no,
better,
same.
actually.
Like up until now, I thought that was the case because I thought the whole thing was like Thade went back in time and just like kind of changed something in order to make it so that it's apes in like the human seed. So,
Or like I said to people, there could still be an uprising because that whole city they were in, you're just telling me that they're all just going to turn a leaf and be like, oh, we love humans now. Like, you could easily have Thade bust out of there and just be like, these fucking apes are traitors. Like, don't trust them. There was a lot of generals, but like I said, I feel like it not being Earth makes it more confusing now. But
yeah.
The thing too, just to touch upon that ending, logistically, there's no way Thade could have done that. They would have like been like, holy shit, what's going on? But just like the genetically speaking, that means all of those apes would have to be like offspring of Thade because he's the only intelligent.
he went to a zoo and just started populating. He just
apparently he's just fucking orgy everywhere.
So he went back to not even Lincoln time, before Lincoln time. He found monkeys, got them all pregnant, got them talking, then took over. Like, he had a long game plan then.
Yeah, and then those monkeys would have to sleep with other monkeys. But like those monkeys that are half intelligent, I guess half breeds you could call them, would have to sleep with other half breeds. But then the gene pool would be kind of diluted, I guess, a little bit. But maybe I don't know. I don't know how that would work. It'd be tricky. Like, they would all have to breed with other non-genetically related monkeys with themselves. But then you have gorillas having sex with the orangutans, and then that's creating offsprings too. But like, I don't know if you can really have the two breed unless, of course, like in the movie we do see like an ape and a orangutan just fucking getting it on, right? So
I remember seeing that as a kid, being like, yeah, this was a little much for me right there. Just imagine though,
so hard in that scene. I was just like, what the fuck are we getting here? Oh my gosh.
Imagine, this guy, I mean, it's only been a couple days, but even I'll just ran out for like a week. You've been fighting this dude, you beat him, and then you get back to Earth, and there's a fucking, like, that is the perfect long con, though. Like, and same thing, Thade, he doesn't know what's going to happen, and he's dead at this point, but so he comes back, he fucks over Earth, and then just decades later, Leo lands and sees, and Thade somewhere just smiling in monkey hell, like, haha, he finally got here, motherfucker. And you beat this guy, and now he's, like, Abraham Lincoln, but your enemy. What a twist, that must suck.
Like, are all humans extinct in this world, do you think?
No, I don't think so. I think they're probably the same thing as like the reverse of Planet of the Apes 5 or 4 Conquest, but it's like the apes are humans and the humans are apes, where they're like the maids and servants and stuff.
Do you think, like, I feel like the apes would treat this situation very differently because the spaceship is there, they can see it, and then there is Mark Wahlberg's character. So I feel like he's still human, so they would have that disrespect towards him. But I feel at the same time they'd be like, okay, this is very weird.
My only I guess big concern for Marky Mark in that moment is like, because Thade was their kind of Abraham Lincoln, like he probably made it like very ingrained in ape society that like there is no good human. So maybe that's like just translated to where they are now. So they're just like the enemy has landed.
If you see this man, you fucking kill him. Whatever decade, like every police department in the world has a picture of Mark Wahlberg. Just like, if you see him, I think it would be like Apes, though, where there's probably some humans around, and maybe they got trained that all humans are bad. But like you said, Taylor, if one comes from the sky, they're gonna ask questions. Like, it's like there's gonna be, and there would be some sort of. Oh, I don't know, because I guess there wouldn't be, right? Because they somehow went back, like, past, like, NASA, and, like, he went to Abraham Lincoln's era. I want that movie. I want to know what happened. I want the prequel of Thade, Tim Roth, get him back in the makeup, and see how he did his slow takeover and stuff, but, yeah.
Tim Roth is trying to get that movie going right now. Self-produced.
I
Tell
appreciate
Thade's story.
Yeah, I appreciate it's like the first one where it's like it is a twist ending, and it's kind of like the reverse of like, oh, we were here all along, and it's like, oh well, they came to us and stuff. So it's almost like them starting it again, but instead of the apes destroying the earth, they just took over and they're cops and living life and everything. So I like that. We'll get into more. That was actually the original ending of the book, I guess, where he goes back to Earth and it is overrun by monkeys, but it's the reverse where he left like Zira and Cornelius that. Evolution just kept going, and they eventually got to where humans were in the world, where like electricity and everything, but it's just the monkeys doing that instead of the whole like Dr. Zayas didn't jump in a ship behind Taylor and like land before him and like become Abraham Lincoln, which is also just very on the nose too, like Abraham, like just.
Oh, is that
like,
what it said? I didn't even see.
No, I just feel like, have we not heard that joke before? Like Abraham Lincoln, like I just feel like I don't know.
No, we heard something similar in. What was it? Battle for the Planet of the Apes, where it was like, ape shall not kill Abe. He's like, oh, you misspelled ape. And then it's like, no, I didn't. Cornelius is like, no, I didn't.
No, Cornelius.
Abe. I think his name was Cornelius. Was
in
Caesar's son,
ones?
Cornelius. No, in the battle, the last one we did.
Yeah.
His son
the
at
teacher's
school,
name was
right?
Abe.
The teacher's name was Abe. Yeah, so like, ape shall not kill Abe. So that's probably what you're thinking of.
He was such a dummy, Aldo. Yeah. What? No, what was I thinking of? What do you mean? What I was thinking of?
Abraham Lincoln. Abe.
No,
Abe.
That's not what I was thinking of. That's
Reaching.
Fine. Yeah, let's move on. What do you guys think about Mark Wahlberg here? Like I said, we start. They're just in space doing missions. They reveal there's a monkey. There's a couple tests. You get some bad CGI here and there, but it's all right. And then, like I said, they go out to a storm. They send the monkey out. We get introduced. We meet a few other human characters, but it's really about him, and he's just really peeved that he doesn't get to be in the sky and stuff.
Yeah, Marky Mark was one of the aspects of this movie that I just really didn't remember. I probably didn't know who he was at the time when I saw this, so like it's just generic white dude lead, and that's who it is. And so coming into it, knowing that it was him, I was expecting heavy Boston accent and just like the sass, I guess, that like I just watched The Departed not too long ago, so like that sort of Mark Wahlberg acting, like, which is great. I love him in that movie, but like I was expecting that like real Boston cop type attitude in this movie.
Maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe fuck yourself.
I will say, like, I was actually kind of pleasantly surprised that I didn't get that. Like, it seemed like he was going for, I guess, just the generic like space guy.
Yeah. There's not
like,
much
role.
the character, right? To give him some benefit of doubt, right?
But,
it's
like,
just a action hero, but
just someone like Mark Wahlberg, I feel like now every time I see him, I'm expecting like the same character that he is in every single movie, and this one felt a little bit different. Maybe it is just because it's earlier in his career, 2001. But yeah, I don't know. He fit the role. It's not very like a deep character by any means. He doesn't go through like a lot of growth. It just seems like the story's kind of happening around him, and he's the one that's taking us along on this journey. And it was good enough for me. Wasn't my favorite aspect of the movie, but definitely not my least favorite.
Yeah, like I said, there's not much to him, but that's where I said I wish they would have got somewhat like Charlton Heston's an Academy Award winner, and he's a very distinct personality. I wish they got someone like that. And I got some people in here that they are looking at. Some are good and some are bad. Like there's one in one of the older movies was like Harrison Ford. I was like, fuck, that's perfect. Like Harrison Ford, man, that like that would have been good. So like I guess it's 2000, so almost like we were talking about with Triple X and all this stuff. Like the leads were different at that point, but yeah, there's not. He's just a guy that just wants to get back home. Even at the end, like. Like they keep trying to force this he's the hero thing, but when he gets the choice, like in every movie I feel like when you do this choice of there's a community that thinks you're a hero, I'm not the hero, and then you do a big battle, then the end when they're like you could go home, and he's like but I'm gonna stay with you. But this is the reverse where like you could stay, and he's like no, I'm gonna go. He's still, no matter what, he wants to get the fuck out of here. Like even she's just like you don't have to go, you could stay. He's like, well, this might be my only chance, but just still that means he's never coming back. So it's a weird hero arc that way, because we always see it the opposite way where they choose to stay here and they find something. But no, he just leaves with like a woman lady and an ape lady ready to fuck him at any moment, which we'll get into at some point. But yeah, he's not bad per se. It's just that the character's not interesting and he's just being an action star guy, so there's just nothing there. I think there's some stuff I like, him seeing his friends at that barbecue. I like when they're like you've been gone for like 200 days or so, like, or it was 2000 or so. It's like multiple years, so I liked that aspect. I liked some of the quippiness. Like I said, I didn't buy the stuff he had with the monkey, because I felt like they couldn't pick a lane if he was a mad astronaut or he was really concerned for his monkey. So it's a dumb reason how he got there, but yeah, the rest of the movie he's just kind of around. He's just our guide to get us through there, and you want to see him survive because he's not a bad monkey, right? So
something else that I felt like, I mean, just us discussing it now made me think more about it, is like they don't really give him a set, like, I guess, motivation. Like he's not like Charlton Heston where he's so done with humanity, like he is, like fuck them, like they don't deserve to live. But he's also not so much like I really like I have a family on Earth that I have to get back to. Like it just seems like he's somewhere in this limbo period. It doesn't seem like he has any like things tying him down that he has to get back to. But yeah, he's also still kind of loyal to just the military. Like he's just like a standard military guy. That's just, I'm a U.S. Air Force pilot and I got to go back to get my orders from my captain. Like it just it's kind of lazy in that sense, because I feel like you can't have a lot of weight in the decision by the end, because it's like, yeah, he can choose his own adventure. It doesn't really matter. There's nothing really tying him in any direction. So I think any decision that he makes in that moment isn't too surprising. But, just a safe character, I guess.
Taylor, why'd you love him?
I mean, he feels like that classic 2000s, just actiony, typical guy, right? So
he does, yeah.
Does he have much motivations? No. Not really. I mean, aside from what you said, Kirkland, he's just he's a military guy, and his duty is just to kind of get back to base. I don't blame him. I mean, the only real motivation he needs to get out of here is the fact that humans are a minority, and there's apes just walking around that hate humans.
Yeah, but
like
it's turning the corner, though, right? After this war, After
the war, yeah, but I think he now, if Pericles never showed up, it would have been a very different outcome.
Yeah,
because he thought that his crew, the Oberon, was here to save him, and he gets there and he realizes that everything is not the way it seems. And so I think that part of him was probably ready to accept that he was going to be there and stay there, but then obviously Pericles lands.
He took way too long to accept that. Like I feel like he saw the ship and was still looking around, hoping. Like, he was like, "Hello, like, man, look at this ship. Like this, there's no one fucking in there. Like, they're all gone, dude. Like, oh yeah, it went on for a good minute there.
It's like fucking eroded. Like it's not even like it's just broken down. Father Time is taking the ship."
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just I don't know. He could have stuck around and he could have celebrated the victory. Celebrated with both Ape
He's
and
out of there
the
quick. Not
female.
even a
Yeah, he
night.
was quick.
No, he didn't even want to get his dick wet by the ape monkey, the ape lady, or the like. He could have had a 3-way. He could have had them both, but he was just out of there.
United both species.
Exactly. He could be. Remember how we read about in 5 and the original Planet of the Apes, or 2, that they kept wanting to get to that human mutated ape baby. They almost had it here again. You know, like they could have had it. So
The one girl, she reminds me of Scarlett Johansson.
yeah, definitely. She was definitely a girl that I think they were trying to make something, because I feel like, she was in this, she was in Kangaroo Jack, and she was in something
really?
else. Yeah, that movie pissed me off because I thought that the kangaroo talked the whole time, and no, it's just a fucking dream sequence.
Yeah.
Such a piss off, man. Fuck that movie, assholes. But yeah, they were definitely trying to make her into something, and that's what I was gonna say. Like, all these human people, there's way too many of them. Like that with the first one, it's Charlton Heston and Nova doesn't fucking speak, so it's just Charlton Heston, her brother, her dad. A couple other characters. I didn't care for really any of these, and I guess it was fine because they were leading up to, we're gonna do a war, but I still don't know if you need that many, because then you still have like the 4 other apes too. Like, there's a lot going on. So the supporting human characters, I really have nothing to say. They were just there to move the action forward and just to show like monkeys being bad, like they're branding them and stuff, but. You guys anything to say on any of our human companions, the love interest, which I thought there was like zero chemistry, like just like
she just wanted to fuck. That's pretty
yeah.
much. Yeah.
She's been in a cage with her brother and her dad for years, so she's just like any guy that's not blood related. It's like, thank God, I'm not insinuating she's fucking those two, by the way. I'm saying, like, cousin Mark Wahlberg, she has someone to fuck before someone twists that in a weird fucking way, all right? Calm down.
The younger brother, I just felt like he just kind of got in the way. He was just...
they should have killed him.
He was super into Mark Wahlberg's character, but then he rides out on the horse, and he falls and gets pinned under the horse. And you just see, like, the first wave of apes just, like, on all fours coming to you. Like, that's fucking terrifying. But,
and Mark Wahlberg is running on foot to save him while all the other people, the horses, are like the fuck out of here. Like, at one point, even his sister looks back and sees him run. Does she go around and turn her horse around? No, she's like, well, I guess my brother's a goner,
Yeah, I didn't care for like pretty much any of these humans. I think they could have been like, it's fine having them in the movie as just fucking chopped liver for the apes, like the bottom barrel of society. It is. I feel like it's interesting to have them in there for the story, but the fact that they wanted to have them on the crew, but also just like be nothing, even though they could speak and like could formulate ideas, it just seemed like it was a weapon, or not really a weapon. It was a tool that they had, but they didn't really use it properly, in my opinion, at all. And yeah, Dana, I think, was the character's name of the blonde lady, and just what a waste. Like they don't even really do the Nova thing of having someone like pair up with our surviving astronaut spaceman. It just, I don't know. It's almost, again, like they needed a checkbox of a character like that was in the original to have in here, and they, I guess, checked it, but it was lazy in my opinion, and they just didn't really provide too much to the overall plot. So I definitely could have been fine without them, like amongst our main crew at least.
Yeah, because and I guess, like, honestly, you could have just made it a couple of them, or you could have just made it him and Helen Bonham Carter. Which, like, yeah, I didn't. You have her. Because what's her name again? What the fuck is her ape's name again? I'm going to forget. Ari. You have Ari and the non-Scarlett Johansson. They both have scenes where it's just literally Mark Wahlberg's talking to one of them, and then the other one's off in the distance watching them longingly. And it's just like, what are we doing here? We didn't need Ari to have, like, from moment one, he has her in a chokehold, and he has the branding thing, and he's threatening to kill Ari. Of course, he's not getting, just to get out of there. But she's like holding on to his hand and sniffing him like Thade style.
She's petting his hand as he has like the fucking branding tool to her face.
It's like the second there, it's like, what? Now I understand why people think she's the fucking human freak, Because it's like day one, she wants to get on. Like, yeah, I know Heston kissed an ape in the first movie. That was just like a goodbye, like thanks for your help. This was like a romantic kiss, and didn't like that. And I guess I would have been all right with the Thade and Ari stuff. I had to take it, but I didn't need it. I wish what happened there was. Because you never get the sense that she's into him at all. It's just always like it's a one street thing. I wish they were a couple and they were on different sides and this was like the breakup. Because especially at the end, the whole movie, he's just a piece of shit. She's always denying him. She goes to the camp. For what, I'm not really sure. Because he says, oh, you're going to trade yourself up for the humans. But I rewound, she never once says that to him. She never once says that to Mark Wahlberg because Mark Wahlberg sees her hand and she's like, yeah, I guess I can't go home now. She never once says any character that she's there to trade up for the humans. We're just told this in maybe some fucking ADR line that's trying to make sense of it all. But then Thade brands her, and then when he gets locked up, he like goes to the glass and does like the ooh, like he's giving her fuck me eyes. But it's like, why would anybody believe she's gonna open the door? Like that's why I wish they actually were some sort of couple before, and these politics broke them apart. But so that's not great either. Like I guess I really would have dropped all the love stuff from everything, from the humans, from the human and apes, from Thade and her. Just get rid of that all because none of it worked and it just felt off and cheesy at times.
Yeah, didn't need to be in there at all.
No,
I agree.
Yeah, Tim Roth, I talked about the opening, but yeah, I loved him. What I love about the character is he is like this fucking crazy psychopath. He is like the top general. He's after stuff. He's like erratic. He's unpredictable. But then he's like a scared man / ape child where like there's so many times where if he gets embarrassed or you've shown like when he shoots the gun, he's like scared, or at the end when he's shaking, he's scared. I just feel like he's definitely tough. He's definitely scary, but I feel like he's even more so just trying to protrude that out to everybody to not fuck with him. And then if you do, you're going to find out that he's not as strong as he's putting out there. And I really like that he has this complex on the outside to just seem like such this strong, unbreakable force. But really, he's pretty fragile. And like he's more fragile mind than a lot of the other apes, I feel. But he's just like, very cunning. So that's where it's like, okay, you can't trust him. He could just kill you at any moment. Like those poor apes doing a good job, or those gorillas doing a good job. Something crash land in the fucking jungle. They're like, hey man, come on here. Let's show you. He just fucking destroys them, just destroys them. So
no, I agree. I think it makes him a lot more interesting. The fact that he's not just like a big hulking gorilla man that like no one can even like physically impose on him. Like he's small, he's very hunched over, he's got a terrifying face, and he definitely exudes that just that menace. But like there's bigger cats, in the armory that could definitely out physical him. But he definitely is just portraying that that don't fuck with me attitude. But I like that by the end he is like shivering in the corner. Whimpering, I guess.
Yeah.
He doesn't look cold.
He's
but
cold.
whimpering in the corner, and just many moments when he kind of maybe he's showing like the lack of knowledge, so therefore he's scared of certain things.
Yes.
and is not willing to accept any of those things. So like he just, I don't know, he made for a really good villain. I do remember the character obviously just because he was so terrifying from back in the day, but I didn't really just know the depth of the character. The whole love thing with Ari and him, like the line where he's like, you're obsessed with the humans, but you reject me, and he's just like he's like this just this
Fuck
pathetic
off,
man,
dude. Yeah.
Like I didn't need that at all, but you kind of already spoke to that, so I definitely agree with you there. And just Tim Roth's performance, man. Like,
yeah, man.
I love Tim Roth. He's fantastic.
Yeah. Even too when they leave and Michael Clark Duncan's like, she left with the humans, and he's like, that couldn't be. She left willingly. They must have took her against her will. Like, it's just so like
Not my
black
Ari.
and white.
My Ari would never do that.
It's black and white. This is the situation. And yeah, another point to him like whimper, which is fine because like I get it because his dad passed away. But I like that they like he's curled up with the gun. He's whimpering because his dad has passed away. It's not just like I have the gun. And he's like, it's fucking like I'm gonna go out there and like I'll avenge you, father. He's like sad and he feels like a little alone because it does feel that he is lying to everybody. Like with Michael Clark Duncan's character, he tells them he's his friend just to like I think just to like have them closer. I don't think they're
Yeah.
actually friends. You know, I think he's just saying that. But it actually felt like him and his dad had a real inner circle and they could actually trust each other. So once he's gone, I feel like Thade feels like he's pretty lonely in that sense, but he's just going to do it by fear and everything. And he knows these lies as well. So I do appreciate that he tries to assassinate the Pericles or the fucking monkey is. Like the second he sees him, he just zeroes in on him and just like, and so there's a moment too that Pericles lands and that stops the war because they all like, you know, get on their knees like, oh my god, this is our god, right? It's like if Jesus was to get resurrected, he comes from a spaceship,
Comes on a UFO. Just, oh my god.
Yeah,
It's him.
meet my new friends. But with Pericles, he gets them. They walk up and he's like, I'm gonna go teach these apes about evolution. Okay. And there's a moment then he starts to reach into his bag. Was I wrong that he was reaching for a gun? Like, what was he reaching for?
Oh, he's definitely grabbing the gun.
So he's reaching for the gun, and then Pericles runs away. He runs into Pericles, and then Tim Roth runs after him. Big fight, right? But, like, what was his plan? Was his plan just to take out the gun and start murdering all the apes? Because I think that's what it was. And what was Pericles going to do in this situation if he sees his owner/friend just shooting down all these monkeys from? Like, what was his plan? Because he was grabbing the gun. So
yeah, my thought would, and I don't know if this is right, but in a way to defend that scene, I think it's just to have that like that one up if it comes to it, like maybe keep it in his back pocket if Thade doesn't want to accept the peace treaty. He
That's
could just
fair.
fucking cap him right there, I guess. But like even then, if he just murks Thade with a gun, like what does the other apes think in that moment? Like I guess peace isn't an option. Like you just murdered our general, but. I don't know.
Yeah.
It is a weird moment.
And that gun ain't big enough to kill them all. You know, you can definitely kill a couple, but they're
definitely
eventually going to outnumber you and stuff. So, which sucked. They had that gun in the beginning of the movie, but then that one gorilla broke it, so that could have given them a big advantage. He might still be alive if he didn't break that gun.
Yeah. Didn't want to use it against me.
Yeah, but cool showdown. I like that, where they just classic movie find each other in war. They're both kicking people's ass and mano a mano. I would like to go on a little longer, but that's the scene that I remember sticking with me because that's just very violent. He just fucking just encaves his chest and then murders him. And this guy that he considers used to be his friend. It's like, Jesus fuck, it was dark.
No, I really like that little. It's like a samurai showdown where they take off their weapons and just go mano a mano. And I agree, it should have gone longer. I did not remember Buddy just getting murked by Attar, I guess his name is, Michael Clark Duncan's character. And it's funny too how like probably 10 minutes after that moment, Michael Clark Duncan is just like one of the homies and he's like standing over as they're like burying that guy. It's just like this whole thing could have been avoided.
He's giving a whole speech like, we won't mark the graves, we'll mourn all of them, human and apes. But it's just like, it never. That's where it's like, take out the love stuff and give me stuff throughout the movie of his character maybe second thinking this, like maybe thinking we're going too hard, maybe he's suspecting Thade's lying. But no, it's just literally like, if this monkey doesn't come from the sky, he was still down to eradicate the human race and get rid of that population. But.
And for that reason, he seems like a bit of a dumb character. I think there's a lot of potential to even just have him second guessing the loyalty of like that other character that he murdered. Don't remember his name, but like that could just be an interesting dynamic because it is said very quickly that they were friends and the other guy was kind of the general of the army in that sense. But yeah, we wasted it on some weird orgy scenes. Not actually, but almost.
Any thoughts on Thade?
I mean, as I said before, he terrified me. He was the way he was moving and his sniffing and his mannerisms and whatnot, just absolutely scary. And that's something that'll always stick with me as a kid, having seen him and just all that pure terror and horror and whatnot. But he's an interesting character. I liked the dynamic he had with his father, and I like that his father had that moment with him where he passed on the information about what humans are capable of and all that jazz. Just his hatred for humans is just crazy. But he's just alluded to earlier on where I think it was who was it? Was it Attar's former general the guy I think that Thade kind of kicked out of the military.
Oh no,
Someone.
you've named them incorrectly because Attar is Michael Clark Duncan, right?
Yeah. So I mean, like his general, like his former general, because that guy, that other gorilla, used to be his boss, so to speak. So there was someone, I can't remember who it was, that said this line to Mark Wahlberg's character that Thade will just keep coming for you. He'll never stop, and that holds true. He'll go to other planets to follow you, but.
Crawl, yeah, he will go to other planets and he'll have a 200-year game plan. Crawl was the name of the nice old general.
Okay.
Krull, which I liked. He's I like this kind of almost silent, almost Ronin type of character. I'm not saying it just because of the nationality of the actor, but just like that's what I felt like they gave him. There's many times he was just like off the side where the crew was hanging out or sleeping or going camping or not, just have a campfire, not going camping. Like he'd just be off in the side, just like staring down, taking a look. So I liked him, and it was shame he didn't make it to the new fucking human ape revolution and everything. So
because he would have been like an early adopter of that. Like he was definitely going with the flow, helping, like staying loyal to Ari, of course, and helping out the humans near the end.
Yeah, he's just buried in some unmarked grave.
The other thing too with Thade, and I think you guys already mentioned this, just the absolute terror when those two guards, as you guys said, were doing the right thing, going to get Thade and show him the wreckage. Thade goes there and he touches both their chests as he walks behind them, and then he pulls out his little fucking blades, and he just screams and jumps 30 feet in the air and just is like, just fucking pounding them in their chests. Just absolutely terrifying shit.
His attack technique, man, when he just screeches and leaps from 20 feet away. That's bold. That's bold.
But not the way you want to go out too. You turn around and you just see Thade in the sky yelling at you, screeching. That you'll just be petrified, so you'll lose. You won't be able to do anything, right?
It's true.
Yeah,
you gotta get those blades out in Assassin's Creed, you know.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Planet
of the Apes
Assassin's
movie.
Creed DLC.
Yeah. Fuck, that's when I'll get back on the series.
Oh, I would if there's a game send Planet Apes, but you're an assassin going back to kill these monkeys. Oh fuck yeah,
what
man.
a jump that would be. Hey, you have all these historical Assassin's Creed game, just their first trailer showing it off. It's fucking here we are, Planet of the Apes.
Well, what they do is they find an Amulus. What is they call the Amulus or whatever?
Animus.
Animus.
Yeah.
This one goes in the future, and they say, "Oh, we've seen that the apes take over, and you got to go there and prevent it." That's what it is, like your ancestor, everything like that. Taylor, what were you saying about killing those guys?
Well, I don't feel like Thade needed to actually kill them because they were so loyal to Thade, right? But I guess he just wanted to keep it a secret. He didn't the whole seamless
he didn't trust
thing,
him.
So
yeah, he didn't trust him. That's why.
As soon as he said you did the right thing, and then he and then he brushes their cheeks or whatever the fuck he did. I'm he's gonna fucking kill them. And then there's a slight delay. I'm oh, maybe he's not gonna kill them. And then he pulls out those glaives or whatever the hell they are. I'm oh fuck, okay, here we go. And then he just leaps 20 feet in the air and man, the whole leaping thing, with apes and stuff. I know they're athletic, but I don't think they just leap like that. That's a bold decision. And Thade, amongst all of them, is a lemur. He is leaping everywhere in this movie. There's a moment, I forget who he's talking to. It might be when he's actually talking to Ari, but he's in the city, and he just turns over and he just fucking leaps off the ledge, and I
onto
belly
a
laughed onto a horse. Yeah, I just belly laughed. I thought it was the most just shocking thing I'd ever seen. It was quite funny.
Yeah, because they get an argument about why you should not spend time with humans and me, and her dad clearly knows she has no interest in him, but literally Thay looks over and he's like, yeah, go try to have sex with my daughter or whatever, and then Thay just do they have his horse always parked on her balconies so he can just jump off them?
The bodyguard's looking up in the air, trying to guide the horse.
Make sure it's to the right, because if he misses, he's gonna fucking kill us. I heard did he hear what happened to Jimmy and Tom? He took this fucking clay things. What did he show him? I don't know what he showed him. They've just been missing, so yeah, but I would not want to fight him, luckily. No. I love the ending. I love that they lock him in, and I love when the gun shoots and all the sparkling. I love that. I don't know why he keeps running up and down the wall so much, but I do love the way that they take him out, and I enjoy that. Again, I'm curious I guess with the ending he got out of there somehow. So I want to see like was he got out and he must have like leaped right away because he had to leap from all those humans and apes, right? So he was just leaping back. Like
There's a horse there when he left.
Yeah, he left on the horse, ride back, got that spaceship. Probably what he did is he got to the water, grabbed them, leapt, and just like pulled the thing with them, and then he went to space and.
But apes can't swim. That's like another thing that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, how did he do that?
And this, like you said, he just sinks, grabs the ship, and leaps out.
He must have leaped. Yeah, of course he could leap. What are we talking
Monster legs that guy
about? Yeah.
has.
Oh, his thighs. Jeez.
Tree trunks.
Yeah. Paul Giamatti, great in this movie. You know,
Yeah.
I don't think it makes sense for the character when the humans escape. For this character, everything they set up for him to be actually in the jungle hunting them down. Like all we see at the beginning of the first act is him having multiple people bring him stuff. Like he doesn't look like the guy that would have gone hunting, but he's great. He fully commits. I love him. He's like, for the most part, I think the comedic comedy or the comedic relief hits. And I think this one's primarily actor because I think there's enough lines there that aren't good. If it's someone lesser than, it wouldn't be as good. But Paul Giamatti delivers, and he's a fun character. And I kind of like at the end when he does join our humans because he's like, well, they're not gonna accept me now, and he helps them out like a little bit. But yeah, I really like that character.
Yeah, he's just like a nice greaseball character. He looks disgusting, terrible teeth, and again, like Ari is just using sex as a weapon against him when she buys Mark Wahlberg and New Nova, whatever her name is. It's like I think we can come to an arrangement. And he does like a weird like a very strange monkey noise, but it's like quiet because he's just panting. He's like like he's just like pre-coming in the moment, and then they just like, it's just so weird. But I did like him as the sleazeball character, and like that was early on in the film when he's just like, I guess, taking Mark Wahlberg and the rest of the slave humans, and in that moment I'm like, wow, what a different movie these are compared to the 60s era.
I did like some of the like buying them for pets and stuff like that. And that was sad when the baby got, separated, but they got her back. But yeah, are they just insinuating that Ari just like did do some sex stuff with him because he did get, like, I guess they ran, but was she gonna? Because she did take them, and that's what her deal was, right? So it was she never like outsmarted him. So I don't know, just
I don't know,
a little weird there, but it is what it is. So, is there any any thoughts on any characters there you want to bring up?
I mean, Paul's character, just he's
Paul,
a
first
slaver.
name basis.
Yeah, first name basis. He's a slaver, and it's just funny how
It's
his
funny.
story kind of transitions. Well, it's funny because he turns from being someone who hated the humans to turning into someone that he's caught with the humans. The apes are actually trying to like hurt him or detain him, and so he just says, "I don't even need those cuffs anymore." I'm paraphrasing, but he acknowledges the fact that he's now considered the enemy, and that just goes kind of hand in hand because we don't ever have any mention of ape won't kill ape. That law in this movie is there. Yeah, so that's
Thade's definitely not.
Thade doesn't give a shit about that rule.
No. Thade's all for that.
Yeah.
Anything else specifically character to shout out? Character, plot wise, I have some other notes, but anything that we haven't touched upon? Talked about the ending, but I have more to say about the ending and some trivia here. So, talked about the love triangles. They kind of make Ari and that Scarlett Johansson girl not like each other till the end, and then Ari saves her, so good for that.
Such a weird dynamic.
Yeah. But yeah, anything else?
Can't think of anything.
I really like the score. Actually, this one stood out to me. It didn't seem like anything like original, but it just felt like it was hitting in the right moments, whether they're doing battle scenes. It was definitely lifting it up, and maybe that's just something that's kind of I don't even know. Like I don't want to say upgraded from the older films because the older films definitely have something special about them.
That first movie score, I remember it's like banger, yeah.
Absolutely, it's a banger, but there's just I don't know. It just definitely was hitting in the right spots and made me notice it more so than other films can.
Elfman had the juice in this era. I don't know where it went. I don't think he has the juice anymore, but he certainly had it at this point. So A few just notes I had throughout was we got Thay dropping a "What's that smell?" That will come. GeekVerse fans, you'll get that one day in one of our films. But I just "What's that smell?" And he's like, "Oh, human," and they beat him up on the
You reek of
whatever.
human.
Yeah.
Which I found it weird that he was even willing to like adopt like the child, like
Well,
his
no, he
child
wasn't.
wanted one, right?
No, it was his niece.
Oh, it was his niece.
So
okay.
it wasn't at his house. It was in his sister's house. So that's
He's
why,
just like shitting on the smell of humans, yet he's allowing a human to like enter his home. It seems strange, but okay, good explanation.
So he had that go on, and there's an example of that first movie, the capturing of the humans with the apes, 10 times better than this movie. Like it's just very, it's quick and it just doesn't have the same intensity. But there is one moment I love in there when they find the little kid, they just chuck her and then they catch her with a sack. Just very like not comedic, but comedic in the sense of just, and then they tie her up, just in a bag. So, what was it? Oh, and then when Thay did get the gun, he reminded me of your guys' favorite Predator at first when he held the gun because he got it and he was holding it like this for a bit, and that yeah.
I thought he was gonna do it, do the kill shot.
Yeah. Some trivia here. Mark Wahlberg joined the film after meeting Tim Burton for only 5 minutes. He was anxious to work with Burton, that he agreed to play any part. Wahlberg dropped out of the role Linus in Ocean's 11, which is it's interesting. That's Matt Damon role. So
yeah,
I'm sure
that happened.
I'm glad that happened too, but I'm sure he probably wishes the other way around. Which same thing. I'm not sure about Tim Roth with Snape. I'm not sure if it was a thing where it's like you might not want to do 5 movies or whatnot, whatever they were talking about. And plus, too, you got to think at that point, Planet of the Apes, the first one, this classic film, they're remaking it. I could see being like it's this book series, but Planet of the Apes are remaking it. Like, I got to do Planet of the Apes,
That's what I was thinking. Like, just seeing Wahlberg in this movie, like, it's been 30 years since Apes has been back, and that was just such a major franchise. That'd probably be like a lot of hype around this film, actually.
Absolutely.
Because what was the budget for it? It was
not too bad. So it was a
100 million.
hit. Okay. Yeah, 100 million, but I think it made like 360 or something like that. So
362, yeah.
Yeah, which and is a bit better back then because it's like they had a lot more in DVD sales and stuff. It's interesting that it was the top 10 that year. At one point, it had like one of the biggest openings for Fox, but and they signed the actors on for sequels. I think I have it somewhere in here, but they literally just didn't do it because the reception of the movie wasn't good. So it wasn't even like a money thing. They just felt like we're not gonna go for it. Same thing at one point.
Yeah, it seems like it's an abnormal thing these days.
Well, that's like, that's these days. That's old Hollywood where it's like, we got away with one. Let's not try it again, But nowadays it's like, well, made money, so we'll try. Tim Roth suffered extensively in the role of General Thad. He didn't, or Thade. I don't know why I say Thad. He didn't mind the hours and hours spent in the makeup chair, but he found the costume extremely constricting. Yeah, no shit. Like, look at that armor. By the end of the shoot, he had trapped nerves and 2 herniated vertebrae in his back. So
Jesus, like herniated?
Yeah, it didn't. It does say no. Oh, it does herniated. Thank you. The R's or the N and the R. It's late here, folks. We're looking like 2 R's. So
That's fucked up. That's a lot of damage to his body he took just for that role. I guess he's hunched over a lot in the role.
That's why. That costume. Tim Burton said he'd rather jump out a window than direct a sequel to this film. And this was part of the thing. Let's see. Yeah, the production was a difficult experience for Tim Burton. It was largely contributed to the Fox adamant release date of July 2001, which meant that everything from pre-production, editing, and visual effects was worked rush. Mark Wahlberg was talking to MTV and said he hadn't seen the new one yet. This was back in 2011. Sorry, he said they didn't have the script right, and Fox Studios had a release date before Tim Burton had a foot on the film. They're pushing him in the wrong direction. You gotta let Tim do his thing. So it sounded like it was like let's do Apes, yeah, great. And then once he signed on, they're like, you gotta hit this date no matter what. And it sounded like it was not a good working relationship here, which I think maybe some stuff shows that, but there's other stuff where I think it was just gonna be bad no matter what. But let's see, Johnny Depp and Daniel Day-Lewis were considered for the role of Thade, so that would have been interesting.
Johnny Depp? Is that what you just said?
Johnny Depp, yeah.
Wow.
Thade. Good thing he did Pirates in a couple years instead. But So during the film's early development, and this is what I was talking about there, it started developing in '80s, so that's why this makes sense. Harrison Ford, Kevin Costner, and Patrick Swayze were all talked about for the lead role at one point, so that kind of makes sense. And I actually think Harrison Ford, like comparing to Charlton Heston, I think he actually is kind of like our Charlton Heston in a way. Like they just have like very specific vibes, big dudes, you know, very handsome, that old school handsome. So that one makes sense. Patrick Swayze and Kevin Costner, I really couldn't see it. And then when they were making this film, the leads that they were considering, other than Mark Wahlberg, was Matt Damon, which is would have been funny. Some good what if Matt Damon did this and Mark Wahlberg did the Elevens film. Ben Affleck was another one, and then Leonardo DiCaprio was the other one as well. So
Wow.
I think out of those, like Leo would have been the best, but I still feel like they needed, and that's what I was trying to think. Like back the stars in the 2000s, like you needed a Heston. I don't know if they had someone like that. That's just very like. I'm not trying to say. I'm not saying Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, and Leo aren't charismatic. It's just I feel like there's certain types of charismatic. Not like Heston is just a character. Him himself as a person is just a character. So it's like just put him on a beach and you're gonna be entertained. Where the other people need roles. So like yeah, I don't know. Let's see. The cast signed on for a sequel, but yeah, cancellation at the film's poor reception by critics. The widely reviled ending is actually fairly true to the ending of the novel, in which the human protagonist finds a ship and escapes the ape planet together with the native human female, Nova. They set a course to Earth, and due to traveling near light speed, many centuries have passed, and Earth has evolved into an ape-dominated society. The DVD end papers notes of clue of this logic for the movie ending. So they've kind of floated out there, but yeah, that is I guess the ending of the book still. So that he goes back and does that, which I kind of get to why the movie didn't do that, because I feel like it back in the Charlton Heston days, that would have been a lot of budget to do an entire world of apes and buildings and everything. So let's see. Oh no, hang on. Let's see. Okay, and then so I got to go back and find the directors. I'll let you guys do one of your overalls while I find that. One of go ahead.
I was just gonna say when I was doing some Googling here, and I just pulled up like this image, and there's some good in it for sure.
Mhm.
But my God, that one on the right is like
That's nice.
that's a rom-com. That's a rom-com
Yeah.
in the making. Some weird interspecies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jeez Louise.
Did I buy you enough time? Oh, you moved.
No, I just had to put this guy on.
Oh yeah.
Look at
That's
that.
why-
Oh, there we go.
I was
Oh
waiting for him
man,
to
there's a
fall
couple
asleep.
times. Where,
Hang on.
I'll
I
wake
gotta
everyone up.
Jeez. Oh, I gotta find the list of people. I had a list of all the directors that they're talking about.
What about that opening though? That opening sequence, very very early 2000s. Like it almost made me
is.
think of like Spider-Man, actually, with just like the
Going to
graphics
where like
that were going
goes
on.
over the face and the eyes open up.
Yeah, I know. I was like,
Yeah.
what the fuck are they doing here?
Yeah. Directors involved in pre-production over the years: Alan Rifkin, Sam Raimi, Philip Norris, Chuck Russell, Chris Columbus, Roland Emmerich, Michael Bay, Sir Peter Jackson, and the Hughes brothers. In 1993, Oliver Stone was originally considered to direct this film and had signed an executive producer and wanted Arnold Schwarzenegger in the lead role. James Cameron had then signed on to executive produce and write the film, but dropped out in 1997. And also, if you go to Wikipedia and look at it, they were making a game on the James Cameron movie version. And then when that movie didn't happen, they stopped making the game. But there was a game in development for
Wow.
that. So,
Interesting.
but yeah, it looks like the one that got furthest along was the one with Arnold, which. so like. This movie would be better if it was Arnold, because
I
that's
agree.
like that's where it's like the Charlton Heston thing, where it's like that's the guy that just has like a certain charisma. Now I don't know if Arnold in a monkey like a Planet Apes movie is a good idea, because I just feel like that could lead to some very comedic things. But I feel like that's the type of star, so I would have preferred that over Mark Wahlberg. Obviously, 2001, I don't think he was doing that. He's getting ready to run for governor and stuff, but.
Well, you
yeah.
said like it started 1988 or something like that. Right? Like
1988 was when
initial
they
talk. So
they first started. Yeah.
what period would have that been? Like early 90s, maybe mid 90s?
Probably
Like, I
mid
think it
90s
coulda
when he
worked.
was like hot too. Like
Yeah.
he was, Predator, Terminator, everything like that. True Lies, like that's what it's all in that era for him. So
It's interesting too, just some of the other directors that you were talking about there. Like it seems like for a lot of them, this is like peak of their career.
yes.
Like Chris Columbus, that's the chap that did like Harry Potter, right? Like the
Yeah.
first handful of them.
Well, and Home
Peter-
Alone, like
Oh, he did. Okay, yeah, there you
yeah.
go. And then like Peter Jackson, obviously ramping up. Well, actually, that would have been the same time as Lord of the Rings. So
Well, this comes at the same year as Fellowship.
wow, yeah,
2001.
really interesting.
Yeah.
What was some of the other ones on there? Some of the big
Sam
ones?
Raimi.
Sam
So
Raimi, yeah,
He went on
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man. Michael Bay. I don't know
Wow.
what Michael Bay. I think he was just doing like The Rock and stuff like that. But
Mm.
yeah, like all of them. Like there's a chance we don't get the Lord of the Rings the way we get it if he
That's
does
fucking
Planet the Apes.
crazy.
So that's Planet the Apes could have changed a lot of things. It could have not had Titanic happen for James Cameron, which was huge. So
Single most impactful movie franchise of all time for that
yeah.
reason.
And then finally, one of the considered endings was Captain Leo crash landing on a Yankee Stadium seeing apes playing baseball. The scene was originally suggested in 1995 for one of the sequels, but they didn't do it for budgetary reasons. Tim Burton wanted to do it, but they didn't do it for a budgetary reason.
He wanted
so.
the baseball,
He did. He wanted the
Yeah.
baseball. So
and with
Something.
Abraham Lincoln.
yeah.
How would
Okay, I feel-
Thade would have
okay.
been like shown there? You think? Probably not,
President Thade's in the box, and he's just like he's still running.
He's
and
staring
stuff.
at Leo, like pointing at him.
Leaps down.
Screeches, yeah, leaps from the fucking.
Plates. He still has them. He's fully dressed like a president. Nice here. Everything. He's like, "Ah!"
Just a hard cut to credits.
Yeah. Leo will return in. Phil, final thoughts.
Yeah, this movie has
Yeah.
major gaps in the story at times, just trying to figure out how the time travel works and whatnot. But all in all, I think it's a good time. I am very biased and partial for those 2000 actiony flicks like your Underworlds and of course this.
There's
and
no
Blade
DP
would
in
have been
this
around
movie.
the time, right?
Blade, Hellboy. There's so many of those films that would just hit the.
Oh, there was
they hit home.
DP going on in this film, Travis. Come on.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
Oh, there was. So I will happily rewatch this film again in the near future, and it's been so long since I've actually rewatched it. So I'm glad that this retro has presented the opportunity to indulge in it again. So hopefully we would see some form of the Ape remake in the future where they decide to tackle the practicality and do the makeup and everything again like this. Well, not
I
to
don't think they ever
disregard
will.
You don't think they ever will?
No, not the way Hollywood
Probably
is
too
now.
expensive.
Yeah, I just think expensive work. They would just like we're going to the fucking generation where they're like, oh, like companies are talking with AI. You think AI is gonna be like, go spend money and make the like? No, I think we're gonna get more of that. And again, I still like the look of the new movies, but I definitely still prefer. And there's some things you couldn't have done with the new movie. Like you couldn't have like a child actor do a full movie, which we had some child actors in Monkey stuff, but I don't know if it would happen. I really don't.
Yeah, I guess make a point, and it's a shame because I think it has that that quality to it, something there. And like you were saying before, like you can see the difference. Well, like with the Hobbit, for example, you can tell those orcs are CGI, and like Lord of the Rings, where like you can touch these orcs. But I digress.
Don't
The,
touch them.
You can sniff them too.
You can sniff them too. Oh yeah,
I gotta
But,
unfortunately watch the Hobbits again because the kids want to watch them. So
kids want to watch.
they want
them.
more. Yeah, Gwen asked me like, "Why is there not more Lord of the Rings films?" I had to explain. Well, there's just these 3 books and yet da da da.
You
But
could
I'm
have
like,
lied.
I could have, but like I was like, she's showing interest in Lord. It's not like Cars or something. But it's like
Yeah.
she's showing interest in Lord of the Rings. It's like, yay. Like there's still Gandalf and
Keep
this is
feeding
the
that
age
fire.
too
Rings of
that
Power.
No, I told her
just went
about
to
that. I
that.
said we're gonna watch Hobbit, and then she's older. But I did prep her and say there's lots of talking Rings of Power, so I don't know if you enjoy it, but that's why we'll watch Hobbits. And for the first time ever, I'm gonna watch the Hobbit extended editions. I've never have, so I'm like, fuck it. If I'm gonna watch them again, let's try them out. So
Yeah.
They feel long. I feel like the only extended
the
edition,
originals feel long already.
The only extended edition Hobbit film that I actually like is Battle of the Five Armies, just because you get some cool extra like fight scenes, but there's some weird shit
Yeah,
they do.
but I'm sure at this age she'll like him more than me. Gandalf's her favorite character, so you got that. You got Legolas, you got a female elf in there, you got Bilbo, Gollum's in there a bit, and I think kids will like the dwarves too. So I think it'll be a fun time watching them. But I'm like, yeah, there is some more. But what's your rating on this, Taylor?
I would probably go. I mean, I was just having such a good time watching this. I'd probably go like an 8 out of 10, to be honest. It's
Whoa.
not perfect because, in retrospect, I really wanted the sequel. I really wanted them to explain a little bit more about how the time travel really worked, and it's just convoluted. But at its core, it's your classic 2000s action packed flick, and so I'm biased, and I'm gonna give it that 8 out of 10 because it's a damn good time, and I got happy memories whenever I think about this film.
Wow. I'll go 6.75 because
That's lower than I thought.
yeah, I enjoy it, but there's still just stuff that's just bad about it. So, and 7 just because 7's like in the guilty pleasure where I will watch it again, and I will, like it's at the beginning of this, but I just don't know if I can get to the exact 7 because I feel like that's a certain class, and I don't think I'll be watching this all the time. I'll just probably watch again sooner than I did before because I did enjoy it. But yeah, it's like a 6.75. I think that's.
Did
where
you
I am
watch
with
it with your kids?
No, we didn't watch. They watched the first Planet of the Apes, enjoyed it for like a little bit, and then there's too much talking. So no, there
It's
was
a slow one too, like the opening when they're just walking.
They were fully in, and then when it was just like that for another like 20 minutes, then they were out. They're like, "Okay, we're done with this."
And they get butt ass naked and go swimming in the pool.
Yeah, that's the first naked butt band they got to see is Charlton Heston and his friends. But yeah, no. Lord of the Rings, surprisingly, they made it through all of them, and there's some talking in there. But
Hell yeah.
Mr. Passer.
Yeah, I was thinking like 6 out of 10, but I think I'm gonna go up to 6.5, mostly just for the actual like practical look of the apes.
Yeah.
I think that's worth a full half point up at least. It just looks so fantastic and it holds up to this day. And yeah, no, like this movie's all about apes, and all the apes looked really, really good, and just the attention to detail on differentiating the gorillas, the orangutans. Didn't love Ari's hair, but it's also like very fitting for that time, like the early 2000s. That seems like a early 2000s hairstyle. So I guess it works out there. And I also we didn't really talk about it too much, but I just kind of like the look of Ape Kingdom or whatever it was called.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed like a dark town where stuff's going on, and yeah, I liked it enough there. A lot of DPing for sure. Especially when they have like a montage of them escaping, just going through people's rooms. Just people are up to no good.
Privacy.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. Like those people that were about to bone, like you don't even lock the door.
They were right next to the guy with the dentures and the hairpiece.
Fuck. Yeah, that's the one thing this movie had a lot of. It. I feel like they did it a little bit in the originals, but this was a lot of stuff that's happening in the 2000s, and the apes were doing this in their own way. And like the dentures and stuff. So. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are done with the 2001 Planet of the Apes retrospective. All the links are down below. We didn't do any of those, but you'll know how to find them. Let us know what you thought. And then, next up we'll be starting the Circus Trilogy, the one closer to home here. But next will be Rise of the Planet of the Apes with Andy Serkis and John Lithgow and James Franco. So, it should be an interesting one. I haven't done that on cast. So, look out for that one. Promise you, it'll not be boring.
Bye.